Hey there, just a quick note to start off the video with. If you find the recipe difficult to follow along with, then I will leave the instructions in the description. That is, if you want to try doing it yourself. Also, I apologize that the audio isn't too great in this video. I was trying out a new lavalier microphone and I kinda got it sound okay, better than what it was when it was the raw input. I put some effects on it, so maybe it's okay now. But if I do something like this again in the future, I'll look into it a bit more. Anyway, enjoy the video and of course, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It's always appreciated. Now enjoy looking at me in this apron that makes me look weirdly wide for some reason, and I didn't realize until afterwards. Bye bye.
You will not believe what happens during this recipe.
Yeah.
Click to find out.
Hello there and welcome to the 50k Q&A special. Well, 69k special. It's been a while. Today we are going to be making Viennese Whirls along with answering questions from you, the viewer. I'm going to start out by showing you what ingredients are required, and of course I'll guide you through the whole process. Just so you know, with this recipe I'm going to be doing this in metric because I'm from the UK and the US is weirdly stubborn about switching to the metric system. It's also far more accurate as well, but I'll put the conversions to cups inside the description or you can look it up yourself, but either way, metric all the way. I'm promoting the metric agenda. I'm working on behalf of the ruler industry. So for this recipe, what you're going to need is the following. 200 grams of unsalted butter, 50 grams of icing sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 200 grams of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of cornflour or cornstarch, and half a teaspoon of baking powder. So we'll get started on the baking first. We'll just start with the basics and then we'll move on to some questions, just sort of fit it in between. If you have a stand mixer like this one, it's going to be very helpful for you. But otherwise, if you have a hand mixer as well, that also works really well for the buttercream. I mean, if you want to do it by hand, you're welcome to, but you're going to be pretty sore at the end of the day. Also, before you get started with this, make sure that you preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or
180 degrees Celsius
if you're in the metric world. Also, if you have a fan assistant oven, you might want to drop that down to 160 Celsius. Okay, so first of all, you're going to need 200 grams of butter. This can either be lightly salted or unsalted. Personally, I prefer unsalted. Okay, so one thing you're going to want to do before this is make sure that the butter is room temperature. Make sure it's room temperature, otherwise it makes it much harder to mix this. You know, it's only 5 grams over, I can live with that.
Yeah.
It's butter, it's fine.
Good science.
Plop. Where's the towels? Oh. Damn you, past me. I'm gonna try and look cool and put one of these on, you know, the Gordon Ramsay thing. Next, you're going to want to put 50 grams of icing sugar inside this mixture here. Proof. Okay. You want to include 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract as well. After you've put all that together, this lovely, pleasing mix, you want to put it inside the mixer or use your hand mixer and whisk it for about 5 minutes until it's nice, fluffy and incorporated. Okay, once you've mixed together all the dry ingredients, you want to combine them with the wet ingredients. This time what you're going to do is pour it all into the bowl where the butter is, then get those last bits. Come on. Once you've done that, what you need to do is start folding them. Now, folding is exactly what it sounds like. You take all the ingredients inside and you just turn it over. Just so you know, I'm also not a very good folder, so this probably isn't my area of expertise. Okay, once you've done folding up the mixture for the biscuit side of thing, or cookie side of thing, the one which I definitely folded with a spatula, and it didn't just cut after I mixed. What you want to do is put it into a piping bag, something like this right here. You're also going to want a star nozzle attachment to put onto it too, something that's a little bit wide. If it's too narrow, it's going to look bad and it'll take you forever as well to do it, and you'll see in a moment. If you ever have filled up a piping bag before, you'll know that it's a huge pain just to get it all in there. So I'll show you this. You put it inside a glass, and what you do is you basically just fold over the edges so it makes like a nice seal on it. And once you've done that, you take your mixture, take a dollop, and then just push it in there. Easy. This is the not fun part, because you have to try and squeeze it down. Don't look at me. So once you've got your piping bag ready, just so you know, it might be a bit difficult to pipe at first just because the butter might not be warm enough. So you might want to give it a little bit of a massage. I know how that sounds, just ignore it. Once you've got your bag ready, you're going to want to make 5 centimeter or 2-inch circles. And what you're going to do is work your way from the outside, going inwards with a swirl. So I'll show you. You'll also want to put some parchment paper down on the baking sheet, or if you've got silicone mats with markings on, that makes it even better as well, because you can actually see what size you want it to be. You'd want it to be like the inner circle right here. Ease it around, make sure you keep some consistent pressure on the piping bag so you don't get any breakages. There we go, get it right into the middle. And once you've done that, just push it in a bit just to break it off, and there you go. It's not super pretty, but that's what the kind of thing you want. So just keep doing this over and over again. The yield that you get can kind of vary depending, but you know, just see what you can get out of it. Generally, you want to try and get an even amount of these just because it's a sandwich cookie. So obviously you want that sandwich. You know, if I was really immature, I'd probably put a fart sound in whilst I'm doing all this. So once you're done, you should have a decent yield. It can vary a little bit depending on how big they are and how much you put in there. But with this, I ended up getting a yield of 18, which overall will result into, I'm bad at maths. So how much? Divide that by 9. Oh my God.
I was like,
I'm trying to concentrate on this. Forgive me if I don't have time for math right now.
I've never been to Mathlon before.
What?
What?
What? Math what?
Mathlon.
Mathlon. Oh,
Yeah.
no. I was too busy getting laid.
Oh.
Once you've done that, you're going to put it in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. And when they're done, you should see that they've got like a nice bit of golden brown around the edges of them. But not too brown, no, they do generally want to look a bit pale. Okay, so while that's baking, it is a good time to answer some of your questions. Oh. Did you major in social sciences given the orientation of your videos? I was wondering. That is from Shadowwin. I studied media and TV production in England. So I did media and TV production, and a lot of that was talking about sociological and political stuff as well. So we had like understanding reality and reporting fact. And when I was in college, which is the precursor to university in the UK, I took sociology there. I learned stuff about like Marx and feminism and functionalism and loads of other stuff too. Not a lot of it stuck, but you know, it has helped in applying it to the stuff that I do these days. Which thank God, because for years now I've not been able to make good use of my actual degree. So it's good that it's somehow being useful. Eloisa Costa asks, which place in the world would you most like to visit and why? I'd really like to visit Norway. I bet it's a really nice place to live. The people there are very friendly, they're very happy. They're one of the happiest countries in the world, actually. I like cold weather as well, so it would be ideal for me there. Outside of that though, I still have to visit Canada. I have a friend that's there, my graphics guy, Kurashu, and I've always wanted to visit there. It just seems like a very nice place. Oh, and Japan as well. Believe it or not, I have not actually been to Japan despite the documentary that I made on it. But yeah, I'd love to visit there despite the many issues that it has. Question from Bat. They say, when you cross the road, is your first step with your right foot or left foot? Both.
What does that mean?
Well, that's...
You jump?
Yeah, it's a joke. It was for the confusion factor.
I
wasn't being serious. Tara Lyon asks, anything new you're planning on or in 2021? Like big projects, some cool experience, or just a change in your life and self? By the way, I love your content. Great stuff. Thank you very much. I would like to do another long form documentary like the one I did on Japan. I haven't pinned down a subject yet. I'm considering doing something on Chinese manufacturing. A very ambitious project, so I'd have to look into that a bit more. It could take a bit of time. Other projects, like I have a bunch of ideas in the pipeline. The next video should be released in the next week or so. But outside of that, cool experiences, I mean, this is a cool experience really. As for changes in myself, just, I don't know, stay healthy, all that kind of crap that everyone else tells themselves that they'll do throughout their entire lives and never truly fulfill that promise. Aaron asks, are you single? Do you want to answer that?
No.
There you go. This person asks, favorite bands or any obscure/niche bands? Favorite band probably of all time would be Radiohead. OK Computer is one of the best albums ever made. It always will be, and it gets more relevant as time goes by. Outside of that, Flaming Lips. I'm a huge fan of the Flaming Lips. They have the best live shows on earth. Some of the best albums I've ever heard. The Soft Bulletin is incredible from start to finish. And outside, I mean, I used to be really into music, so I could go on about this all day long. Other than that, I used to love the White Stripes and the Strokes. Like, those were sort of my early days of music stuff. Oh, and Neutral Milk Hotel. I love Neutral Milk Hotel. I know that makes me a hipster, but I don't care. I have 2 ears connected to a heart, and I'm going to respond to that. Chastity Princely, 420. Asks, who's a better cook, you or your wife? Do you want to answer that?
You are.
Yes, thank you, I am. Insert witty name here says, who is your least favorite US president? Reagan, by far. I know Trump was terrible, and I'm glad he's gone, but Reagan has done more long-term damage to the working class and poor in this country than any other president has, and the effects are still being felt today. Trickle down was a complete lie, and there's still plenty of people out there that believe in his policies, which is complete nonsense. Yeah, screw Reagan. T115 asks... One second. Stop. T115 asks, what was your inspiration for making these types of videos? I mean, I enjoy watching videos, video essays on YouTube already. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I would talk about with people in real life, and it's difficult to talk about someone for 30 minutes straight about why something is bad or why something is great. Like I say, I've got a history in TV production and know how to edit and all that stuff, so it was a nice idea just to like throw something like this together. What is your favorite country? I'll let you know when I've traveled a bit more. Imaginary Reality says, your video about loneliness in Japan made me wonder if you've ever lived in Japan. No, I have not, but I would very much like to someday. I've just done a tremendous amount of reading on Japan and been very curious about the culture over the years. So I was always fascinated by the loneliness epidemic there and what kind of effects it had on people. But yeah, I'd still really like to visit despite being so critical of the country. Nora City asks, what is your goal in life? Not to die. 217 asks, are there any topics you want to cover that you haven't been able to produce a script for, or that you scrapped partway through? I was considering making a video on the Japanese legal system. There is an astonishingly high conviction rate in Japan. I think it's like 99.9% of people that get arrested are convicted of a crime. But there's also an element to it as well where people who have been arrested will just simply admit to their crimes just because there's a great deal of shame in being arrested. Number 2, they also asks, if you weren't making video essays, what medium, if any, would you use to articulate your thoughts? Like, would you have a robust live journal presence if YouTube wasn't a viable platform right now? Happy New Year and congrats on 50k. Thank you. I mean, I've written about it in the past. I had a few articles put out there and everything, and you know, I actually had some on some Gawker sites as just like a, you know, free little gig that I did. I mean, YouTube's such a dominant platform that it's really difficult to say like what else you could do. I mean, you're not exactly going to be able to throw something on Vimeo or something like that. Yeah, I can't really think of any other way that I'd want that I could articulate it. And I think I'm better in video form than I am just written form, just because it's more interesting that way. Better Than Starlight asks, what video software do you use? Good luck with the baking. I use Adobe Premiere, a very good piece of software when it works. But when I was at university, I actually used to use Avid, but I absolutely hate Avid. It feels like editing with a scalpel rather than an actual computer. Aspen Mist says, none of these. I don't know why I'm judging them. These nuts jokes are hilarious. They will never not be funny. Joseph Portelli asks, what did you major or study in at university? Any grad school? As I mentioned previously, media and television production. No grad school. I tried to go back, but it was too expensive. Jeff says, since you have multiple videos that critique capitalism, was there an event or personal experience in particular that sparked your political awakening? As I mentioned earlier, I studied Marxism back when I was at college, so I was about 16 at the time, and I was already very upset and angry with the world, and also my family was going through some pretty substantial financial issues at the time. When I started learning about Marxism, it just seemed like things really sort of fit into place at that point. The reason I was feeling so upset about the world and why things weren't right was suddenly given some kind of explanation, and it wasn't an explanation that was like completely bombastic or anything. It's stuff that actually checked out fact-wise. And from then on, like I remember, like I worked at a job at the time. I was just doing like a part-time job, and I remember actually feeling genuinely angry at the fact that I had to work there because I just couldn't help but thinking, these people are exploiting me, they're exploiting everyone else here. How do I stop this from happening? And then I just felt even worse because I was like, well, I can't stop this from happening, not by myself at the very least. But yeah, just experiences like that, and also just I can't stand injustice in general, whether it's myself or with just anyone, even strangers. I can't stand it. No, I mean, if you're a conservative by the time you're 30, or if you switch over, I just think you're a garbage person, quite frankly. Sorry, I'm not mincing words there, but I'm just saying how I feel. Hello, Anya here says, what's your favorite sea creature? Or what's your favorite kind of sea creature? I like the big blubbery ones, like manatee and seals. My wife is a big seal fan. Not the singer. Do you like Seal, the singer? Kiss from a Rose? He's good, right? I mean, that's... but yeah, I like the big blubbery ones. I trust them more than I do the actual fish. Lara Lake asks, how do you motivate yourself? With great difficulty. Ritalin and fear of going broke. Like most people, quite frankly. Question 2. Assuming you drink coffee, how do you take it? I honestly like a bunch of cream or milk and sugar. I like it to perk me up. But then again, actually, I drink decaf these days just because too much caffeine makes me feel anxious. But yeah, I like it pretty sweet, and I like it creamy as well, just because I think straight up coffee is... DS Straws asks, what has surprised you the most about being a YouTuber? Which of your videos do you think are underrated? Which of the baked goods did you secretly want us to pick? Did you rig the poll by hinting at the greatness of Viennese Whirls? I'll never tell. What has surprised me the most about being a YouTuber? It's hard to say so far, because I still think it's very early. Like, it's not like I have connections with other YouTubers and stuff, other than like, hey, it's Vadim. But I would like to reach out to more people, at least within sort of the, BreadTube community and such. As for underrated videos, probably my old boy one, like no one's watched that. And I know it's nothing related to the stuff that has become more popular on my channel now, but I just love that film, and I think people would really appreciate the filmmaking techniques behind a film like that, because it's genuinely brilliant. Emily Wu asks, what are your favorite video essay channels, all time or at the moment? I'm a huge fan of Michael Saba's video. That's Michael S-A-B-A. I'm not kidding when I say he makes some of the best videos on YouTube, especially video essays. He's great at tackling so many different subjects. He's incredibly knowledgeable. And he's entertaining as well. It was also because of him that I got really into Japanese city pop as well, because he did a whole video on it and why it's fantastic, and he's completely right. It's frankly a crime that he has that I have more subscribers than he does. Go subscribe to him. Go watch all his videos, leave comments, tell him that Salari sent you, and you know, maybe I can get Senpai's attention. Matsuya Bikoko Injijin. That is a nightmare to pronounce. They say, do you listen to Dua Lipa? Up until I saw them on Saturday Night Live recently, I had no idea who this was, but I've checked out a couple things and they're okay. Kayla Black is going all in with the questions here, asking, I'd love to know some of your favorite pieces of media. A few I had in mind being favorite film, favorite album, favorite book. Love your content. Looking forward to seeing what the new year holds. Well, thank you very much. I'm a huge film buff, or film snob, however you want to put it. It's really hard to say what my favorite film is. Among my favorite films, I'd probably say like Doctor Strangelove, most of Kubrick's films, most of David Fincher's movies, like Fight Club is brilliant, and it has so many different readings of it. But outside of that, yeah, it's really hard to pick. I can give you favorite directors, but probably not favorite films per se. Favorite album, OK Computer by Radiohead. It's a masterpiece. Favorite book, that's a tough one too. I might say Generation A by Douglas Copeland. It's this really interesting novel about a world post bees, like all the bees have died off, and these, I think it's 4 people if I remember right, just happen in different areas of the world get stung by a bee, and then after that they're taken in to get studied, and there's all kinds of weird stuff that happens when you have to like basically make up stories and tell each other. I'm going into it a bit much, but it's a very interesting book and it's definitely worth a read. Alright, we'll take a break now and do the buttercream. Okay, so once your biscuits have cooled down, what you're going to want to do next is make the buttercream. And luckily this is actually a very simple step. For this, you're going to need 100 grams of softened or room temperature butter, and you're also going to need 170 grams of icing sugar. You're also going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 50 grams of raspberry jam to go with that, or jam of any flavor that you like, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll get on with the buttercream right now. And after that, more questions. Plop. It looks very much like cocaine, but doesn't have any of the good stuff that goes along with cocaine. Why am I saying I'm not cool? I've never had cocaine. You want to include 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract with this one as well, because vanilla extract and baking are hand in hand, and there is a cap on top of this. 1 second. Now once you've done making the am I having a stroke?
Once you're done fill thing.
Once you done the thing. Okay, once your buttercream is ready and it's nice and smooth, what you want to do is get another piping bag ready using the technique that I showed you before, and you just plop it in. Okay, don't miss the bag. Pro tip. Make sure that the butter is nice and smooth as well and very malleable like you just saw it earlier, because it will make it far easier to pipe this stuff. Luckily you don't have to be too fancy with it since it will be covered anyway, but it does help you evenly distribute the buttercream inside the Viennese whirl. By the way, if you're wondering why I chose Viennese whirls, other than it being voted for, it's because it was a very nice childhood treat that I would have. My mother is a big fan of Viennese whirls. I would like her to try mine someday, since I've only started making them since I was in the US, since I can't find them here. Very nice, very easy to make, very high in calories, but you know, the stuff that's really good is always worth the calories. Bring up the bag like this. I hope that doesn't sound awful on the microphone. Get it twisted at the top so it can't escape. In fact, I have another little pro tip for you. If you have a sandwich bag clip, good thing to do is get it twisted first and then just secure it in place like that, so you don't have to worry about it falling out all the time. Push it down to the bottom, give it a little bit of a squeeze. One thing I used to do is that I would spin it around to try and let gravity do its work, but unfortunately that resulted in some pretty awful accidents, so I won't be doing that today. Yeah, just make sure it comes out at the end. That looks good. Now let's get on with the piping. Alright, so what you want to try and do is try and get the right size cookies, so try and match them up. Some of them might be smaller than the other ones, so just try and find it a friend to spend the rest of its life with and eventually die together, like all of us do. I made myself sad. So once you've got your piping bag ready, you're going to be going around in a swirl shape again on one side of the cookie. The other side is going to be jam on there. So same as before, take it very easy as you're going around and, you know, don't rush anything. You might also find some air bubbles inside your piping bag that can break up the flow. Just give it a bit of a massage once again and that should get the air bubbles out of it. So much buttercream. Guarantee you are both going to love this. Alright, second to last part, we are going to be putting the jam onto the top of the other side of the whirls. If you've got pretty room temperature jam, it's pretty easy to do this part. But since this is pretty cold, what I'm going to do is put this through a strainer first, so it makes it a lot easier to spread it out. But what you basically do is get a good amount of jam, throw it inside there, get a little bit more. I'm going to get a spoon because using a knife is a really dumb decision. Yep, just push it down. Push it real good. If you like a good amount of jam there, like I do, then just put as much as you want on top of there. Do be careful though, because when you take a bite into the whirl, it can just fall out everywhere if you go a bit overboard. But I don't know, maybe you're into that. The last part, super easy. You're just going to take a bit of the jam, put it on top of the other side of the whirl, and just give it a rub around. Very simple. So make sure it's nice and evenly distributed and repeat that with every single one after that. Then after that, find the other side, find its friend, and bond them for life. Give it a bit of a squeeze, just so it's near the edges. That should be good. And there you go, Viennese Whirl. Just make the rest of them now. And after that, if you want to keep them good and safe and, you know, not have them start melting on you because, you know, this is butter, put them in the fridge. You'll find they're actually really nice after that. So obviously do the same with the rest of them, one after another. Squeeze them together, don't squeeze them too hard. God, that one's really well filled. Jeez, I'm having that one. And there you have it, Viennese Whirls. They're very easy to make, very, very delicious. These ones do look a bit messy, I won't lie. It's not my best effort, but that's probably due to being on the camera, to be honest with you. Give it a try if you do like these, or if you made them yourself. Feel free to send them to me. You can join our Discord. We have a whole food channel on there that you can send it. Or if you want, you can also send them to me on Twitter at Salari TV. I would always appreciate more followers on there, and it's also a great way to stay up to date with any new developments and new videos and such. I'll include links to both of them in the description. But next, let's finish off the rest of the questions. You want one? Okay, so on to the rest of the questions. Kate S says, I love your videos so much. Thank you. This might be a basic question, but what inspired you to start a channel and make videos? It's been something I've wanted to do for a good while, to be honest with you. Like I said earlier, it's one of those things that I just like talking about these subjects with people, and I just thought it'd be a nice way to make use of that ability to talk about things. Because, yeah, it's all good and well just having a conversation with people, and I still enjoy that, but having it like this at least allows me to, you know, entertain other people and reach an audience as well, which, you know, is the thing you want to do on YouTube, really. Lauren M, hello Lauren, asks, can you talk a bit about your influences in creating your content? What do you think were the experiences or education that gave you the point of view that you have today? I know it's kind of general, but I think it will be interesting. Influences, obviously other... Roomba. Influencers for general video essay stuff. I mean, other video essayists on the platform have been influential because I watch them probably just like you do, like H Bomber Guy, ContraPoints, etc. And like I said earlier, Michael Saber, love his videos, he's great. And also even just like smaller channels as well, like Hey It's Vadim is one of my favorite channels. It was great working with him in the last video. I highly encourage you to check out his stuff. Well, I will say the video on Japan that was heavily inspired by the documentaries of Adam Curtis. In my opinion, he's the best living documentarian. Some of his stuff has been extraordinarily eye-opening for me. If you watch those and you watch my Japan video, I think you'll easily see the influences that were throughout that. HowdyX asks, why is this in my recommended when I don't even know the channel? XD. I guess I should check it out. Yes, you should. Thank you. Mimi asks, are there any subjects you are scared to talk about or that you've been procrastinating on doing? Thank you for producing such great quality videos. You're welcome. Like the one I mentioned earlier about the Japanese legal system, that's one thing. Main reason I'm scared about that is just because I'm not equipped with the knowledge and I think it would take a long time and I need to speak to experts about it. I would like to do a video in the future about female streamers, actually, talking about the dynamic between them and male audiences, because obviously we're all aware of things like male entitlement and such, but there's also the element of how this veil of anonymity between audiences and the streamer has made it so that many men will donate large amounts of money and expect something in return, just as you get in real life where you're like guys giving gifts to someone and wanting something in return. So I'd be interested in doing that, but I also would want to speak to some larger female streamers, like ones that have got a decent audience. And yeah, thinking of how to approach it as well is another thing entirely. So I'll see if I can get back to that one. It's a bit of an ambitious project, but otherwise, there's not really been anything I want to talk too much about, or that I've avoided talking about. I generally have been doing the things that I want to talk about. BC Ursa asks, do you have any funny stories or bloopers from recording a video? Yes, I do, and they're available at patreon.com/Salari. You can get access to those for only $3, and I appreciate every single person that supports me. It really does go a very long way because it helps me get all of this set up. And just improving things. But yeah, bloopers, outtakes, etc. they're all uploaded there. I haven't been able to do many of them. The most recent video had some outtakes, so I'll try and do more in the future. This video will have some outtakes for it because so much has gone wrong you don't even know. Raga R says, what's the editing process like? How long does it take to plan a video and execute? Editing is probably the most longest and laborious parts of it. As much as I like editing, I also find it hard to stay focused on it at times. But you know, you can do some interesting stuff, and it's always about like those little tricks that make it really rewarding. But overall, I try to get a video finished within the space of 2 weeks. I've been a bit lazier on that recently just because I don't want to release too many videos. So hopefully I should be a bit more rigid with my 2-week schedule next time. Also, since I've been recording on camera quite a bit, that can take quite a bit of time. Like I've been doing this for about 3 hours now. Maybe I'll get an editor one day. That would be really nice. It would definitely streamline the process quite a good amount. Fos S says, what's your favorite game in terms of story/writing, and if it's Persona 5, anything else? Also, Happy New Year, wishing you the best and hoping that your channel gets the love it rightfully deserves. Oh. Favorite game in terms of story writing? I love the Metal Gear series. There is some absolutely fantastic social commentary within those series, and it's interesting to see those games becoming more and more relevant as time goes by. I even love Death Stranding as well. I know lots of people did not like that game, but I think it was fantastic, and as soon as the pandemic hit, it became very, very relevant. But otherwise, story-wise, Nier Automata is great, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Played through that twice, and both times at the ending, I sobbed Like, I didn't even shed a tear, I just straight up sobbed at those endings. Yeah, if I ever want to like cry on command or something, I'll just think of that ending just because it got to me. Arthur Morgan, one of the best written characters in fiction. Like, I'm really honest when I'm saying that. Gabriela Lanos asks, what are the 3 things you are looking forward to in 2021? The pandemic being over would be nice. I would also like to travel to England, see my family and everything at some point, just because it's been over 5 years now and I've not been able to visit them once due to financial issues. And other things popping up too. It's every single time we plan something, it always seems to fall apart. And also I would like to get a dog this year as well, because that's also been far too long and I miss having a dog in my life. Do you have ADHD? Asks Mukyu Hoka. It's a weird thing because I've never officially been tested for it because the test costs too much. And when tests like that cost too much, you're in a weird position where you kind of hope that you've got the condition just because you think, oh well, I've wasted a bit of money there. And being diagnosed as an adult with ADHD sucks because there's not a lot of support for it. But I've been taking medication for it, it's been helping my process. It actually makes me write essays like a madman. So just to give you an example, my recent essay, I was aiming for about 3,500 words, something like that. It ended up being nearly 8,000 words. So I already have a problem with staying succinct, as you can tell from these answers. I wish I was diagnosed a lot sooner though, just because it probably would have made my time at university and school a hell of a lot easier. Matador asks, what's your favorite non-fiction book? I don't really have one, but recently I read The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. It's a very, very good book. It's worth a read. All of Naomi Klein's stuff is fantastic. But this one is especially worth reading just because it talks about how politicians and companies will often use disasters, be it natural or be it war, to basically swoop into decimated areas and use it to profiteer. Crowned King asks, how are you? I'm good, thank you. How are you? The Angry Guy asks, what's your favorite show that is currently airing? A few months ago, I would have said Corporate on Comedy Central, but it came to an end recently. Absolutely great show. Everyone should watch it. Barely anyone watched it, and it broke my heart because it is so well done. Yeah, go look it up. Corporate, Comedy Central. But other than that, I'd probably say Better Call Saul. Fantastic show. I genuinely believe it's better than Breaking Bad at this point. It never fails to be interesting, and I've had some of the tensest moments of watching television. If you've seen the show, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, and lastly, Natalia Uskategui. Come on. They ask, what's the wackiest dream you remember having? I remember once having a dream where, how do I even explain this? You remember Nicole Richie, right? From The Simple Life, daughter of Lionel Richie, or stepdaughter, I can't remember what. She and Paris Hilton used to have that show, The Simple Life. For some reason, I once dreamt that I was watching an episode of that, or I was in the episode of that, where they were working at a rhinoplasty place with actual rhinos there. No idea where that came from. I've watched that show like twice in my entire life, but apparently my brain felt like messing with me that evening. And for some reason I woke up terrified. No idea what that came about because it wasn't a scary dream. I just woke up like in a state of shock. Yeah, weird one, I'll admit. Alright, well that's it for the questions. Some of those were fantastic. I really enjoyed doing this. Maybe in the future we'll do another one if you enjoyed this too. I know I usually thank people a lot for this stuff, but I just want to say that I really do mean it. Because of you all supporting me, it means that I can do this, and it means that I can be supported by this. Both to the viewers and, for the people on Patreon who very kindly keeping me supported. And before I started doing YouTube, I honestly was in a pretty crappy place with my life. I wasn't happy in general, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do in the future. I had no clue actually what I was going to do next. Yeah, doing this has definitely been great, and I really hope I can do it in the future. So your support really does mean a tremendous amount to me. Otherwise, stay tuned. There's going to be plenty more in the future. Like I said, the next video should be up Hopefully in the next week or a little bit longer, we're going to be looking at why you hate your job. It should be a very interesting one. Well, I've finished writing it. I need to record some videos, so I'll be in front of the camera again very soon. But yeah, otherwise, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Thank you, you're all amazing. And if you do wish to support me on Patreon, there's a link at the bottom. And also follow me on Twitter @Salari TV, and I'll give you some updates there. And a Discord as well, join that. Maybe when we hit 100k, maybe I'll do one of these again if you enjoyed this one, where we will be making crystal meth. Bye.